Hello and welcome to Simple Salesforce. Today we'll go through the batch jobs in Salesforce and how they work. So here is the trailhead link for that one. Quickly go to that. You have all the details from Salesforce trailhead to read through the details about the batch jobs, how to invoke a batch job, and all those details here. But they explained very simple way. I'll just go ahead and show you the example and some best practices all pulled from the Salesforce. So, okay, what is this batch job? Querying and processing business logic on thousands or millions of records in chunk of batches without exceeding the regular Apex execution limit. You can process all those record and all those things in your Apex class, but there are limitations in everywhere. So you cannot process more than the governor limits mentioned by the Salesforce. So when we process millions and billions of data, that time we process using the batches. And then so here is a link on the documentation of the governor limits you have in Salesforce. You can go through that. Why we need a batch class? So when we process records using a batch, Salesforce divides all those records into small chunks, like first batch of record, second batch of record, third batch of record, like that. The default size is 200. You can mention the size you want to process. Sometimes looking into the operations happens inside the batch, we limit the size. So just to make sure that, let's say when we are processing records, so we are querying so many SQL queries. We are calling so many SQL queries, and it will exceed the limit of 101 SQL, which is a governor limit for fetching the data, putting the number of SQL queries in your code. So in that case, we limit that to 3, 4, 5 depending on our business case. But default batch size is 200. So what it means is it will divide. Let's say you asked Salesforce Apex batch class to pull 15,000 records, and then default size you provided 200. Then it will divide 15,000 by divided by 200. Then those many set of records, those many chunks will be processed in the batch. The batch size will be defined when the batch will run. You can see the number there. So each of them has its separate governor limits. Batch governor limits are different from Apex governor limits. If one batch of record fail, then the other batch of record will not roll back. So let's say there are 14 batches or 15 batches, 3 processed and the rest all failed. Then those 3 will be processed. The rest all, whatever failed, you can process it again, but it will not impact the successful ones. You can schedule the batch Apex to run at any time you want. So batch will execute repeatedly as per the frequency you mention in there. I will show you how to schedule the batch. How to create a batch class? You must implement the database.batchable interface when we write a batch class. What is that in interfaces? This is an interface by Salesforce which declares the method inside and available to use when you implement this one. Start, execute, and finish. Start method provides the collection of records which will be processed in the execute method. It will just get all the data required to be processed as per your need. You are going to define a query that will pull the data, and then that start method will collect that and send it to the execute method. Query locator gets all the records and need to be processed by the batch using simple SQL query. Limit 50 million records. Execute, process all the data fetched by the query locator and divide into chunks of or set of records. 200 limit, 200 the default limit. The execution of records are not guaranteed as they received from the starter method. So if you receive 15,000 records, which will be processed first, which will be put into which batch you chunk, you do not have the control over that one, and you don't need to control over that because Salesforce will process that 15,000 record. That is your target. Finish method used to post processing operation in case you want to send a message of how many records processed, how many failures, all those things you can write all your code in that finish section. Detailed knowledge about the batch and the Salesforce knowledge about the batch, you can see it here. So and the note is for start method, we can return database to query locator or iterable s object. Most of the times, I use database to query locator, and that is actually going to do complete the job. You may not need any iterable or something, but depending on your business, you can read through that one. But 90% I am sure that you will be using this database.query locator, which will take care of the records you want to process in the batch. So let's go back to some demo. I have created a batch demo object here, and then I have inserted one record here which is called the test batch record. I'll show you why I put the name like this, just to show you some example how this processing happens. Okay, so here is my batch class. Name is like batch class example for demo implements database.batchable. So it will implement this. It will allow me to use this start, execute, and this finish method somewhere here. If you see in all those codes, it will be all simple if else conditions. And if something written query locator, it is by default in Salesforce. It is every time you have to write the same thing when you write a batch. So very common things I have put in here. List, it's a collection. I will explain in some of my new next videos in Apex. List is a collection. This is the object, you just put it in a list, it becomes a collection. That is how the simple thing here. And all the try catch for loop, that's all. We are not going to use any complex thing here so that you will not understand. First thing, we'll go to the start method, database.queryLocator. Just put it in that format. This is the start method defined in this batchable context interface, and then this is using this batch database dot batchable context bc, which is going to fetch the data by the query. What is the query? I did one more step here. You can write the query here directly, or you can keep it in a place where you can fetch it, which is a configurable place. Why I put it? Because if you keep your query in some configurable location, in case you need to change it, you do not need to do a deployment when you are working in a real production environment. So what I did is common classes methods. Where is that one? So here, get demo meta records. I put it in a metadata, custom metadata. I will explain that in a different video. Custom metadata is configurable, deployable, so it is easy to use. You can change your data without any deployment and all those things. There are so many benefits of that one. So what I did, I just put it there. I'll just show you where exactly I did that. It is like this. I created all these demo setup record. You can create all these fields like an object. You can create all those things. So in the config data for demo, in that field, it's a test area field. I created that one, and then I put my query in that one. How I am going to fetch it? Just to go to that method, demo setup record mdt get record. What is the input value? I am going to send that input value here. Where is that? Batch example. I am saying query for a demo batch class. So here, when I'm saving this, I'm saving query for batch demo class. This is what I'm just storing. So I'll be pulling the data using this demo setup record name. So I push that, I send that one into the class, and then I go into the class, and this is the input value I received, and the same input value I'm going to use to fetch the data. What I'm doing here, I'm just getting, I'm setting a static map, so it will map is another collection. We'll see that one later. Static is going to store all those values in once, and it will not repeat again, keep on loading the data. So demo meta record, you are defining one new map here, and then what is the format? String and the record, the MDT record, metadata records. String, you're going to store the name like the input value. So use a looping to that, just for loop, simple. You can get this code anywhere in Salesforce knowledge or any Google. You just find this code. This is not a big problem. So you got the data into the map, which is a collection. We will read that later. And then you are returning that map dot get the value of the input value from that map. From that map, you are trying to find out what is the value of this input value which you sent. So in your map, all the records will be there which are listed in this demo setup record. So you have one here, you have one here, but it will only send you the date. It will only send you the SQL query or whatever text you have in that. So I put my query in there. So that query will be fetched from there and sent to my this class here. So the query will be that text whatever written there, and that's a SQL query. And now what I wrote, to return database dot get query locator query. It's a default statement from Salesforce. For the start method, you get that one. What this is going to do is it is going to fetch the data you mentioned in here in this SQL query, and then it will send that to the execute method. Now here execute same default statements you will list, and this is a list you are receiving this in a list of demo object records, because we are always trying to bulkify this one, and this is the format of that. The records to process will receive the records received from here, and now we are going to loop through that one. What we are going to do, we will create a list of batch demo object which on which we are actually doing the batch job. So this list will be processed in one go. Just to make sure that we are bulkifying this one, means instead of sending updating one by one all records, we'll process, we'll do all the business logic, everything whatever required, we'll do it and keep it in one list, and then we'll process that list, we'll update that list into our Salesforce. So everything will be done in one go. Now you loop through the records which you received. What is this one? Record to process. You are looping through that one here, and you are just creating one instance here, and you are saying each record dot name. Just a simple thing. What you are doing, just to update the name to updated by batch. That's all you are doing, and now you are putting it into the list. You keep on adding the data into the list. How many records? Let's say you got 15,000 records. 15,000 records will be update, this line will be executed for all these rows. Whatever logic you want to write, you can write in that one, and then insert into this, add it into this list, and then finally you are updating this database.upsert. Upsert means if you are inserting a new record, it will be inserted. If it is an existing record, it will update. So what you are going to do here is, actually, I was trying to show you on email notification for which how many records processed and all. That is why I was doing this upsert. Or else you can just write database.insert. Why we write? We can also write just insert this one, insert this list. That's all. But if you write a database.insert or database.update or database.upsert, it will it will not stop when there is something failed. It will go on and continue the success ones, and just not process. It will, this parameter here, if you write this one, you are saying all or none. It will process all the records. Even if there are 15 failures, it will not stop there. If you do not write this one, if you just write insert this list, then it will only insert the ones, sorry, if there is a failure, it will stop there. But if you write database.upset, it will not stop if there is a failure. It will continue to insert the success ones, and the failure ones will be there. It will not insert for the failure ones. So this is a format which I'm just trying to get the data, which records are failed or which records are successful. In this code you can find anywhere, like how to loop through the result of that, insert or update, and then loop through that one to find out the records processed. For me right now it is not working. I'm just trying to put this notification message and get all those details in that one, if it is an error, successful, or any exception happens. And then what I'm doing is, I'm just trying to, in the finish method, I'm just trying to send an email notification. So send email notification also I put in my common class. Here this code I got from somewhere from the Google, to just to see how to send an email in Salesforce. This is a format like messaging the single email message, then mail subject send to address to, and the text of that body of that email, and then the email address which where you want to send. I put that one here also in the metadata. I put my name in there, my email address in there. If you say just put only one email address in there, I just configure that one. If I need to add more email address, I can do that. So that is how I did it, and then this email will be sending the email to the email address which you mentioned in there, and then that will send all the whatever the content of the notification message. So that is how you do that. You can run this batch directly, like also this one here, database.execute batch new, this size 10 you are providing here, are saying just 10 size. This will take care of that one. It will just execute, but it will not schedule it. There are different ways to schedule the batch. We'll read through that one here in the trailhead. How using the system.schedule method, you can write all those things in your finish method to schedule the batch. It's a cron job. You can read through that the details how the cron expression works. It works I think similar in all the programming languages, the cron job scheduling. Or you can schedule in the UI in Salesforce. But if you have to do that one, then you have to create a schedulable class which implement the schedulable interface. So that interface need to be defined, and this is a simple line of code, like how you are just putting your class, which is the actual batch class, and then you are saying database to execute batch and this one. So that is what you, once you do this one, this will be showing up in your UI when you are going to schedule the batch. How we are going to do that? So let's say, okay, before that I will, so this is the one record I wanted to process, and now if I just update this, I'll just run this batch, highlighted, batch ran, successful. You see this one? Is there anything debug log here? Nothing. Not this one. We go to this one. I might have put some debug logs to see what exactly we are processing. Demo record fetched this one, processed this one. These are all the all the debug logs I put. Demo record fetched. Which one is fetched? Which one is going to be processed? This is the one, and then the, because I just processed, I have only one record. That is why it was saying like this. There was no error, and then we are in finish method. That will also show up in one more Apex log. You can see that one. So now if we go to this record, this should have been updated to updated by batch. Refresh, updated by batch. That is what it done. So what my query is, fetching, select id name from batch demo object where name like test batch record. If the name is like test batch record, then that will be pulled. So in my record here, which I was using, let me show you this one again. Test batch record, I'll go under clone one, test batch record one, save it, and then go to this one, process again, run the batch, and refresh this one. This became updated by batch because the batch pulled this record and updated it. So that's how the batch. This is just a one record. You can. This is just an example how you use the batch. But in reality, we process thousands and thousands and millions of records. And now we will go to see how we can schedule a job. Let's say if I go to setup, then you need to go to, it is all written in here in this trailhead, how to schedule from the UI. So let's go to setup and then find the Apex class section. Go to Apex class and then click on schedule Apex. Only the classes which implement the schedulable interface will be shown here. Demo batch job. What is the Apex class? You go and search it. It will be showing up here. Not that one. What is the name? Schedule batch Apex batch class. Why it is not showing? Maybe it is because scheduled ones. I actually did the schedule once, that one, that might be the reason. Let me go back to all scheduled jobs. No, it is not here. But this is the way. I might have done something wrong in this one. But this is the way you write your schedulable class, and then you can see it here, and then it should have been coming. I don't know why it is not coming. I need to figure out that. Um, okay, let's try this one. Just put something here. What is the time you wanted to schedule this one? And there it will be saying you must select Apex class that implements. I did that one. This was working before a few minutes. Okay, it did happen sometimes. I read through some blogs which was telling this might happen sometimes. And then save it. saved. You see this one? It's just some bug in the system. Schedule, go to this scheduled jobs. Now you will see there is a demo batch job scheduled, and what is the timing? Now we submitted. It is not started. Next scheduled run is at 15th February 2021. So you can change all those things here. When you want to run your batch, you can set up all those things, monthly, weekly, whatever you want. All these parameters we have here, you can change as per that one. That is how you are going to schedule a job. Read through all these details and anything else. For start method, like I said, for start method, database.query locator will take care of most of the things like we did. You can put your query in a custom metadata, which will be helpful to edit in case of you want to make a change in the query instead of going for a deployment. And then and that's all about scheduling a batch, creating a batch, and running processing your records. Simple batch record, but what happens in reality? We do all our business logic here in the execute method. We can write whatever I'm just doing here. I'm just processing, just updating a name. You can call an Apex class here, which will be calling doing some business, another performing some business logic and updating some other object or updating the records of this object which you are trying to do, trying to access here. Anything you wanted to perform on this set of batch records, you can do it here. You can call it Apex class or something. There are many other things which also you can do. I will show you whenever in mind I get some next videos. If I get some examples, I'll put in the next videos. So that's all about batches. And go through this one, go through the Salesforce knowledge, and I will get more details. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye.